government in the state of Tigray. They expressed their conviction that it may help farmers concentrate on their farm in the upcoming rainy season. Dems Makra has more on that.
On June 28, the Ethiopian government declared a unilateral humanitarian ceasefire in Tigray after the Tigray Interim Administration filed an open request to the federal government for ceasefire in the region. The decision later on attracted various suggestions from different politicians and the public at large. Lawyers ETV approached for comment loudest government decisions to cease fire in Tigray, saying that is the right step towards the resolution of the ongoing conflict in the Tigray region. Janet Hordofa, a legal expert, says the decision for a ceasefire is timely as farmers must start working on the field for this rainy season.
ገበሬውን ራሱ ወደ እርሻ ስራው እንዳይመለስ
TPLF has been working to distract farmers in the region not to concentrate on their farming activities. The group labeled the peaceful farmers as traitors and killed them in brutal attacks simply to keep the region restless. The federal government decision to cease fire in Tigray and the withdrawal of troops is therefore important to help farmers get some relief and concentrate on their work in the upcoming rainy season.
Former member of the National Defense Force and legal expert Masai Hagos for his part said, withdrawing the National Army from Tigray helps prevent any possible attack on the defense force as TPLF transforms itself into a guerrilla fighter.
In military actions, troops control certain areas based on concrete benefits. In light of this principle, the presence of the National Defense Force in Tigray was less important as compared to its advantage. Since TPLF insurgents gave up on formal fights, they resemble civilians and attack defense force in certain favorable moments. The presence of the National Defense Force in Tigray was therefore non-utilitarian other than exposing the defense force to random attacks.
According to both lawyers, the current ceasefire will help reveal the true color of TPLF along with its misinformation and deceptive propaganda. Now the world will witness how the TPLF behaves, as there will not be federal troops who were blamed for killing and raping citizens in the region before.
The Tigray Democratic Party acknowledges government's decision to declare a unilateral ceasefire in the state of Tigray. Talking to ETV, communication head of the party, Mulu Brahan Haile, said the ceasefire will allow the people of Tigray to hold their breath and carefully examine what the future holds. The party, however, accused the TPLF of carrying out mass killings of civilians in the state. People are being killed because of false accusations of supporting government army and backing the interim administration. The party underlined that TPLF won't hesitate to kill civilians as long as they are designated as enemies. The group knows that it won't survive with what it has right now. It tends to trigger other disputes, the party said. The party thus urged the people of Tigray to stop the clique from causing harm anymore. The state of emergency fact check has confirmed that people in Tigray are being killed by the TPLF group using backing government army as a tagline.
The Nile's main source, the Blue Nile, starts in Ethiopia, at Lake Tana. The river flows towards Sudan and joins the river's other tributary at Sudan's capital, Khartoum, before heading downstream to Egypt. GERD is being built here, on the border with Sudan, near the Blue Nile source. The dam will catch water in its massive reservoir, whose surface area is larger than that of Greater London.
Welcome back. Ethiopian religious leaders have expressed their concern that maintaining unity of the people is critical to avert undesirable challenges from external forces. They made their remark while responding to ETV over the disagreements with Sudan and Egypt. The second filling of the dam is expected to commence this month. Daniel Kasaun has more on that.
Since the commencement of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam in 2011, the Sudan and Egypt have continuously been expressing their discomfort to the whole world, despite a number of negotiations held for common understanding. Currently, their push for binding agreement went to the United Nations table to force Ethiopia coming to their wish, but unsuccessful. In this regard, Ethiopia's religious leaders have expressed their concern that maintaining unity of the people is critical to avert undesirable challenges from external forces.
ሀገራችን ለእድገት ለልማት
Our country is keen on the growth and development of the people. The country needs to secure its energy demand. The dispute between the three countries revolves around the construction of the $5 billion Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam GERD on the Nile River. It is a decisive project for all Ethiopians.
The Ethiopian Islamic Affairs Supreme Council called for peaceful resolution of Nile River water sharing issues.
የኛ መንግስት ደግሞ የሚገርመው እስከ ዛሬ ድረስ
Tensions have escalated ever since, with Egypt launching massive diplomatic fights. It has even threatened to use force against Ethiopia, which contributes to 86% of the waters of the Blue Nile, the main tributary of the main river Nile. The water is mainly emerging and flowing from Ethiopia. They need to accept common use principle of Nile waters.
Head of the Ethiopian Catholic Churches, Cardinal Brana Jesus, for his part commented the contribution of Ethiopians from all walks of lives are instrumental for the progress.
The people of Ethiopia have been contributing to the construction of GERD, struggling to make ends meet. This is the main path for the country that leads to prosperity. That is why Ethiopians from all walks of life are building the dam with pride.
Egyptian and Sudanese governments and religious leaders are urged to make efforts to revive negotiations between the three countries to find a peaceful resolution of Nile River waters based on justice.
Now, the head of the Matakkal Zone Command Post of the National Defense Force, Lieutenant General Asrat Denero, affirmed that the army is in a standby for safeguarding the GERD while executing the second filling. Discussing with troops of the National Defense Force on standby mission in the dam site and surroundings on the ongoing military services, they had stated that the army is vigilant in protecting security of the project around the clock. He explained that the peace and security in Matakkal Zone is significantly improving and livelihoods of locals have returned to normalcy. IDPs who fled their homes due to security matters have been reinstated in some selected places, he added, reaffirming the commitment of the army for successful second filling of the GERD and peace and security of the region.
Fertile land.
Wow.
So green is fertile. Green.
All right.
የምናድበለብለው ቅርጽ እንዲይዝልን ነው። ይኸውላችሁ እንደዚህ ሳደርገው ይቀልጣል። በማንኪያ የሚበላ በማንኪያ ይበላል፣ በእጅ የሚበላ
يتابعنا بس ما شتاتا أشكارو بس ما ميتا
Jason's gonna go in. Jason's going in hard. I love that. You see all the guys are aggressive. They go
yeast and lemon water, but it really smells good. It smells like lemony fresh. Oh yeah, the aroma of that berber and those spices.
Wow. And then we're a little
ተካና ይባላል ከወተት ከቡላ ከአይብ እና የተለያዩ ቅመሞች ተጨምሮ የሚሰራ
sexy. Det är tappet all.
Welcome back. You're still watching this News Hour. Ethiopian representative to the UN, Ambassador Taye Asqeselase, expresses his government's commitment to restoring the well-being of citizens across the country. On the regular session of the UN Security Council on African Peace and Security Concern, Taye briefed the recent unilateral decision for ceasefire made by the federal government of Ethiopia. Haptam Ashagre presents the story as follows.
And sustained access from both Komolcha and Samara to Mekele, and from Gonda to Shire.
In its 8,812 meeting, the UN Security Council had discussion about the peace and security concern of Africa. Speaking on the occasion, Ethiopian permanent representative to the UN, Ambassador Taye Asqeselase, expressed efforts to the Ethiopian government to restore peace and stability in the state of Tigray.
When the government of Ethiopia took bold measures and political decisions to meet the needs and well-being of its people affected by the law enforcement operation in Tigray. This measure should have encouraged our friends to give support and de-escalate the unhelpful pressure. Equally, we wish to express our appreciation to all of you for recognizing our resolve for peace behind this difficult initiative we have taken.
According to Taye, the unilateral ceasefire agreement made by the federal government is critical to deliver decisive humanitarian assistance in the region. The government of Ethiopia's decision is also vital to bring constructive outlook of the UN security about humanitarian assistance in the state of Tigray.
On 28 June 2021, the government of Ethiopia decided to cease the active military engagement of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces in the Tigray region. This decision for humanitarian ceasefire was reached after a concerted deliberation with various stakeholders and partners.
Taye further noted the refutation of the unilateral ceasefire by the responsible behavior of the TPLF gangs, recalling the government's tolerance to alleviate humanitarian crisis in the state.
We hope that this magnanimous and far-sighted decision will not be wasted by the irresponsible conduct of the TPLF group, which the government of Ethiopia opted to tolerate for the sake of the people of Tigray and to elevate the humanitarian situation in the region. The decision to cease military operation is hoped to create a conducive environment for humanitarian operation in Tigray.
The ongoing devilish and illogical conduct of TPLF is taking the people into deep-rooted and vicious humanitarian crisis in the region, Taye added. The federal government of Ethiopia has decided the unilateral ceasefire agreement for safeguarding of its own people, unity, solidarity and territorial integrity of the country.
The TPLF group that were pursuing continued its belligerence to protect few individuals In furtherance of its agenda, it began conscripting young and elderly civilians, women and men, to fight highly trained and armed men of their country. This exposed the people in Tigray for the military confrontation that are not prepared for.
The government of Ethiopia has created space to deliver for unfettered humanitarian access as well as to provide necessary agricultural inputs in the state of Tigray, Taye remarked. Taye urges the UN Security Council to understand the external challenges that Ethiopia is facing to make the nation out of its national priorities.
The external security threats against us through no fault or provocation on our part are complicating our internal political dynamics and distract us from key national priorities. I wish to implore this Council to act with full awareness of this external challenge Ethiopia is facing.
According to Taye, the Ethiopian government has adopted a roadmap for inclusive dialogue to restore peace and stability in the region.
In another development, Kenya's permanent representative to the UN Security Council called on the Council to give space for Africans to resolve their problems themselves. He also reiterated the international community has to appreciate Ethiopian government's decision for the unilateral ceasefire and unfettered humanitarian access in Tigray. Kushumeliso has more.
Représentant du Kenya.
The ambassadors of the United States, France, China, Russia, India, Kenya, Norway, Taiwan and Ireland to the Security Council expressed their views on the recent situation in Tigray. Kenya's permanent representative to the Council said the Security Council should give space for African issues to get resolved by Africans.
We reiterate once again that the Council should always listen to Africa when it comes to African issues. The Council should also allow the continent the space to resolve its challenges with the support of the international community. We do not make this assertion because we are infallible. Rather, it is because Africa today has a realizable vision of itself growing into a peaceful, united, independent, and prosperous community of nations.
He also reiterated the international community has to appreciate Ethiopian government's decision for the unilateral ceasefire and unfettered humanitarian access in Tigray.
We welcome the unilateral humanitarian ceasefire by the government of Ethiopia and stress that this Council and the international community should appreciate this decision by the government as an opportunity that must be capitalized on.
Martin Kiamni expressed his concern about the recent destruction bridge over the Takaze River as opposed to the ceasefire, and that will complicate the humanitarian delivery effort.
We are particularly concerned about the potential implications of the recent destruction of the bridge over the Takaze River, connecting Shire and Gonda. It is indicative of a callous attitude to the needs of civilians in crisis, and that there are parties not observing a ceasefire. We condemn the deliberate destruction of civilian objects that are vital to the delivery of humanitarian aid.
Saying the ceasefire experience had not been seen in Africa's peace and security architecture, he noted silencing the gun would allow Tigray's farmers and traders to recover their livelihood and bringing about peaceful coexistence in the country.
This silencing of the guns serves our continental will and would allow Tigray's farmers and traders to return to their farms and shops so that they may recover their livelihoods and reduce their dependency on the outstretched hand of the humanitarians. Because we know from experience that doing so will allow the deployment of the tools available in Africa's peace and security architecture to help Ethiopia be at peace with itself.
The permanent representative to the Council also lauded the recent election conducted peacefully despite some logistical and operational challenges.
We support the democratic aspirations of the Ethiopian people. As such, we have argued that the international community and the Security Council give the country space to undertake its most recent elections. We have been gratified by the interim reports, especially that of the African Union Election Observer Mission, asserting that, and I quote, despite some operational, logistical, security, political, and COVID-19 related challenges, overall, the pre-election and election day processes were conducted in an orderly, peaceful, and credible manner. Close of quote. We hope that the election becomes a foundation of a robust national conversation on peace, cohesion, development, and the celebration of diversity and pluralism.
The permanent representative further urged the international humanitarian community to speed up their efforts.
Meanwhile, member states of the UN Security Council commend efforts made by the Ethiopian government to restore peace and stability. Chinese representative said Ethiopia is the anchor nation in restoring peace and stability in the Horn of Africa, citing his country's close attention towards the major development stories in the state of Tigray. Habtam Ashagri has the details.
China, India and Russian Federation are some of the member states of the UN Security Council standing by the side of Ethiopia during this tough time. These three nations have welcomed Ethiopia's unilateral ceasefire agreement and its humanitarian assistance in the state of Tigray. China expressed its readiness to support EU-led constructive negotiation role in the continent in this regard.
Ethiopia is an anchor of stability in the Horn of Africa, vital to regional peace and security. A peaceful and stable Ethiopia is the common wish of all Ethiopians, and other African countries and the international community at large would want nothing less. China has been closely following with concern the situation in the Tigray region. The government of Ethiopia has recently announced a unilateral ceasefire in the state of Tigray to restore normalcy in farming and humanitarian operations in the region, which China welcomes. We look forward to a comprehensive ceasefire in Tigray and support the parties concerned to resolve their differences through political dialogue, so that all people in Ethiopia, including those in the state of Tigray, can enjoy peace and stability on their way towards development and prosperity. China supports the AU's continued constructive role and welcomes the assistance extended to Ethiopia by AU Commission Chairperson Faki.
The Indian representative for his part said the unilateral ceasefire agreement of Ethiopia is welcoming development to provide critical humanitarian assistance in the region. India recognizes the encouraging humanitarian assistance that has been provided by the Ethiopian government to alleviate humanitarian crisis.
The people of Tigray region in Ethiopia have suffered during the 8-month-long fighting. The announcement of a humanitarian ceasefire in the Tigray region is therefore a welcome development. We commend the government of Ethiopia for taking this decision and welcome the measures it has taken to address the humanitarian situation. This positive step should help ease the tensions and sufferings of the people. We hope that today's meeting will help in de-escalating the situation on the ground and bring about reconciliation and peace in the region. We also believe that the presence of external armed actors in the Tigray region militate against return to peace, and we call for an end to this. It is important that all stakeholders respect the ceasefire, allow humanitarian aid to reach all those in need, and allow for regular farming activities to take place.
The unilateral ceasefire decision made by the federal government of Ethiopia and its humanitarian assistance role is the right decision, said the Russian Federation representative. According to the Russian Federation representative, the Ethiopian government's effort to rehabilitate infrastructure in the state of Tigray is remarkable.
We're closely following the development of the complex situation, and we believe that the Ethiopian federal government's unilateral decision on the 28th of June for immediate cessation of hostilities in Tigray is a step in the right direction. We hope that all warring parties will demonstrate the necessary political will, which would enable to put an end to this bloodshed and improve the humanitarian situation and gradually bring about socio-economic stabilization.
During the UN Security Council ordinary session, the international community further cooperation is critical to alleviate the humanitarian crisis in the state of Tigray.
The renowned Ethiopian humanitarian Abebech Gobana passed away at 81 after receiving COVID-19 treatment in a hospital. The most revered philanthropist and founder of Abebech Gobana Children's Care and Development Association, she has raised and helped thousands of orphaned children across Ethiopia. Ababach received an honorary doctorate degree from Jimma University for her outstanding humanitarian engagement in the last 40 years. Many call Ababach Gobana the African Mother Teresa. As condolences are pouring in, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said that he is saddened by the news. The Premier dubs Ababach an icon of compassion.
This city is the city of the most industrious people. This is a city of hardworking people. A typical Alabama is a wise man. In trade and commerce, this is the city. This is ABA, and this is me, Rough Cornwall, by telling you about my city.
Now in our continent,